Chingze has disliked me since we were young. He said that I would only bring him bad luck. Later, he injured his hand while rescuing me from a big fire. He could no longer hold a scalpel. With red eyes, he said, I will never let you go for the rest of my life. In this new life, I decided to stay away from him obediently, until later, I saw him with scarlet eyes at the corners, doing unspeakable things while holding my photo. Oh no, the unreachable flower on the high mountain, has gone dark. 1. Student MOU. For this volleyball game, who do you want to team up with? Student MOU. Someone called me. I suddenly came to my senses and felt dazed looking at everything familiar yet strange in front of me. After the car accident, did I travel through time? Who else could it be? Of course, she'll cling to the thigh of her childhood sweetheart. Everyone knows that the two of them are like conjoined twins. Wherever Chingze goes, MOU follows. Someone made fun of me. This was a tennis class in college. My classmates looked at me with ambiguous eyes, but they didn't know that I shivered when I heard the name Chingze. In my previous life, Chingze rushed into the fire to save me and injured his hand. He could no longer hold a scalpel. The night after he came out of the operating room, I dared to go and see him. At that time, he was lying on the hospital bed. His eyes were obviously red from crying, extremely red. He gritted his teeth and said to me, MOU. I will never let you go for the rest of my life. The guilt and fear of having done something wrong almost engulfed me. Chingze's resentful face also lingered in my mind and became a nightmare. At the moment, he was standing beside the teacher, choosing a tennis racket. After hearing the commotion, he just gave me a faint glance and then, as if resigned to his fate, started to pick the second one. The lights in the indoor tennis court shone on his originally pale and cold skin, making it dazzlingly white. Outstanding is probably the word to describe someone like him. He has been good-looking since childhood, had excellent grades, and was also talented in sports. When he grew up, he realized his dream and became a doctor. At a young age, he was already an attending physician in a top tertiary hospital in the capital. With a medical family background, he should have had a smooth and successful career, if it weren't for me. After the teacher called me for the third time impatiently, I almost randomly pointed with a sense of urgency. The surroundings fell silent. Chingze's movement of bending over to choose the racket also visibly froze. Even the teacher raised his eyebrows in surprise. The guy I pointed at looked behind him. After finding no one there, his pupils dilated in shock. He pointed at himself and mouthed silently, me. The whole class burst into laughter at this sight. Everyone knew that my tennis skills were extremely poor. Every time I teamed up with Chingze, even a sports master like him would be dragged down by me and lose the game. The teacher asked Chingze jokingly, Chingze, do you have any objections? It was as if he was asking a family member. Chingze walked over. When he passed by me, his eyebrows and eyes were cold. Whatever she wants, I really hope she won't hold me back. 2. My throat choked up, and it took me a long time to suppress the uncomfortable feeling. Chingze has disliked me since we were young. He said that I would only bring him bad luck. In fact, he was right. Probably no one in the whole world likes me. I was born as a person with extremely ominous horoscopes, a harbinger of bad luck. When I was 8 years old, my parents died in a plane crash. My grandmother was heartbroken and said that I had caused their deaths, so she refused to adopt me, after raising me for 5 years. My grandmother also passed away due to a heart attack. My relatives were coveting the huge inheritance left to me by my parents, yet they also feared my horoscopes. Only the neighbor's family, who had watched me grow up, took pity on me and took me in. They said with determination, the fortune teller said that Xiaoze's horoscope is extremely strong, you can just test it for him. Since then, I became a burden to the Qing family. Naturally, I also stuck to Chingze. He was the one they said had an extremely strong horoscope. Until he was 9 years old, he broke his leg while trying to help me save a kitten from a tree. At the age of 12, because he passed me the answers, he was punished to make a self-criticism in front of the whole school with me. When he was 15, Chingze agreed to my unreasonable request and accompanied me to set off fireworks in the yard. I lost control, and a spark landed on his clothes. Soon, it caught fire. We were in a hurry to put out the fire, but on his arm, an ugly scar was left forever. He finally couldn't hold it in anymore and shouted at me angrily, MOU, can you stay away from me? Since you were a child, you've only brought me bad luck. At that time, my desire for friends was much stronger than my self-esteem. I still followed him like a little tail that couldn't be shaken off. But what about Chingze's future? Or even his life? I shouldn't be selfish. Chingze, don't worry, this time I will definitely stay far away from you and will never hold you back again. 3. without my dragging him down. Chingzhe and his new partner really had a tacit understanding. His gaze was firm, and his face was so serious that it was intimidating. He became stronger and stronger as the game went on. The score was already overwhelming, and there was no suspense about the outcome. However, I sprained my ankle when catching the last ball. A loud whistle blew. "Stop," the PE teacher shouted loudly. "Someone come and carry Mou to the infirmary." Through the net, I saw from a distance that Chingzhe immediately dropped his racket and was about to run over. Chingzhe is a good person, although he has a cold exterior but a warm heart. Although he dislikes me, he also remembers his promise to his parents and will protect and take care of me as if I were his own sister. But I can't cause him trouble anymore. Enduring the pain, I bared my teeth and smiled at my partner. "Classmate, could you take me to the infirmary, please?" I reached out and pulled on the leg of his sports pants. Then I showed my canine teeth and threatened in a low voice, "Otherwise, I'll pull your pants off." The boy who had been hesitating quickly picked me up and rushed straight to the infirmary. I was in so much pain that I was almost fainting, my head tilted, and just before I closed my eyes, I saw Chingzhe's direction. He stood there, his face stiff, and didn't take another step forward. "Chingzhe. See, I didn't trouble you this time either." I was transferred from the infirmary to the provincial hospital near the school. That kind-hearted guy accompanied me all the way. I asked gratefully, "Classmate, what's your name?" He showed an expression as if the sky was falling. "You chose me as your partner and asked me to send you to the hospital. People who don't know might think you have a crush on me, yet you don't even know my name." I scratched my head in embarrassment. He said angrily, "Bai Yang, could I trouble you with one more thing? Could you bring me food for a few days?" He jumped up and down in anger. "I'm warning you, don't push your luck. I'll pay you." He shook his head. "One should not be swayed by poverty." I stretched out 2 fingers. 200 yuan a day. And the meal money is separate. "Your humble servant is here, miss. You can rest assured and recover. I'll take care of everything." Thanks to Bai Yang, I had already started eating before Chingzhe came to bring me food. He stood at the door holding a lunchbox, frowning as he watched me eating until oil was dripping from the corner of my mouth. He said stiffly, "Didn't the doctor tell you that you shouldn't eat greasy food during your recuperation?" Bai Yang's eyes lit up and he stood up suddenly. "I'll immediately prepare some light food for Miss Student Mou. He has such great professional ethics." I gave an approving look at Bai Yang's departing back, but I didn't know that this look took on a different meaning in Chingzhe's eyes. His hand holding the lunchbox tightened a bit. "What's wrong with you today?" I turned my head to look at him in confusion. "What's wrong with what?" His Adam's apple moved, and it took him a long time to reluctantly say, "In your previous tennis classes. Didn't you always team up with me?" I lowered my head and started eating, mumbling, "Didn't you always think my playing was bad?" I didn't. Anyway, I also want to make some new friends. "New friends?" His eyes narrowed slightly as he repeated the words one by one. "Yeah, didn't you tell me since I was a child that I shouldn't just follow you and that I should make more other friends? Also, you don't need to bring me food anymore. Bai Yang will bring it to me, after a long time." He sneered, "Why didn't I see you being so obedient before?" "Fine, I'll have an easy time. I can have a few days of peaceful days without anyone bothering me." He turned around and left without hesitation. I held back the sourness in my eyes and comforted myself. "Very good, Mou. You have taken the second step. You have been able to refuse Chingzhe's care." When Bai Yang came back, half of the soup in the takeout bowl had spilled. He chattered and complained, "Is that Chingzhe crazy? The road is so wide, why did he bump into me? You're familiar with him. Was his cerebellum underdeveloped when he was a child? Does he always sway when he walks? Hey, wait a minute, miss, why are you crying?" It was the saltiness of the food that made me cry. 5. When I came to the classroom to attend class on crutches, I saw that the teacher who had always disliked me showed obvious relief in his eyes. Probably he thought I was strong in spirit despite my physical disability. In fact, it was because Bai Yang told me that this class would cover the key points for the final exam. Chingzhe sat in the first row as usual, his back straight, and he was looking at the blackboard seriously. His gaze didn't even fall on me once. The seat next to him was empty. In the past, I would definitely have sat over there with a playful smile. Then, under the teacher's disappointed gaze, I would have slept through the whole morning. But now, Bai Yang and I secretly huddled in the last row. "Miss, didn't I tell you that I would draw the key points and lend them to you to copy later? Rely on him." I looked at him with disdain at the 2 big dark circles under his eyes because of staying up all night playing games. "Forget it." In class, the 2 of us were just about to write quickly, but the teacher just casually pointed out a few places and then said calmly, "Except for the few places I just pointed out, everything else is key." I flipped through this brick-like textbook with more than 600 pages. I stared at Bai Yang. It really felt like the sky had fallen. As soon as the class bell rang, I angrily picked up my crutches and left. Where are you going? To find the department head to change my major. WOC, Miss is so heroic. I'll go with you. Before the two of us could take a step, a gloomy voice came from behind. You want to change your major? I felt a chill down my back. When I turned around, I saw Qingzhe holding a notebook and looking at me with a gloomy face. Did he encourage you to do this? Bai Yang, may the heavens distinguish between the loyal and the treacherous. Looking at Qingzhe's clenched fist, I silently protected Bai Yang behind me. I want to change my major myself. I don't like this major. Qingzhe was stunned. Why? Didn't you say since you were a child that you admired Hua Tuo and that you also wanted to study medicine to save lives when you grew up? He tilted his head and looked at me in confusion. I closed my eyes. I didn't dare to open them. People can't even empathize with their past selves. Who knows what nonsense I used to come up with just to be able to stay by Qingzhe's side when I was a child. I said that when I was naive. Why do you still remember it? Anyway, I don't like this major, and I must change it. I was too guilty to look at his face. I turned around and pulled Bai Yang, ready to run. I only heard a disappointed and cold sentence from behind. MOU. It seems that I still don't know you well enough. Whatever you do, you're half-hearted. I sniffed my sour nose. Qingzhe, you still don't understand. I'm doing this for your own good. How dare I use your future as a sacrifice for my selfishness? 6. Since that class, Qingzhe and I haven't said a word to each other. It has always been me who took the initiative to find Qingzhe, since I didn't contact him, naturally. He wouldn't contact me either. Bai Yang and I, however, established a deep friendship, and we decided to transfer to the School of Liberal Arts together next semester. According to his words, the two of us are both warriors trapped in the cage of the School of Medicine because of love. Because of love. When I wanted to ask him more about it, he refused to say more. 7. The tennis club proposed that after the final exam week, everyone go for a barbecue dinner together. We were all freshmen. Our enthusiasm for socializing was burning brightly. Both Qingzhe and I were members of the tennis club. At first, I joined the tennis club to improve my tennis skills, and then I pestered Qingzhe to join with me, but the courses in the School of Medicine were really too full, and I only came to the club a few times in total. Naturally, my tennis skills didn't improve. Qingzhe has always had little interest in this kind of gathering. He would rather stay in the laboratory, as his follower. I would naturally sleep outside the laboratory and wait for him. Anyway, it's the same to sleep anywhere, right? So, the club president was a bit surprised when I signed up for this dinner, a rare guest. When I got there, I found that I wasn't the only rare guest. 8. The club president rented a villa with a lawn in the countryside. After having the barbecue and hot pot, everyone gathered around the campfire and played the game You Have Something I Don't. Qingzhe walked straight over and sat beside me. There were quiet jeers around, and people's eyes kept moving between the two of us. Did Qingzhe forget that we had a quarrel a few days ago? I moved to the side. He grabbed my arm and pulled me back, his tone displeased. What are you hiding from? Am I a plague god? I immediately lowered my head and pretended to be dead. The club president came out to smooth things over and asked the first question. After chuckling twice, he said cunningly, I was admitted without taking the exam. This immediately stirred up public anger. Showing off. Yuan Bo. What are you pretending for? You're a pretentious guy. Kick him out. Despite the commotion, except for the club president and Qingzhe, everyone else put down one finger. Qingzhe was also admitted without taking the exam. Moreover, he could have been admitted to an even better school. 2 top universities were competing for him, but I tried my best and still didn't get admitted. Later, when filling out the college entrance examination application, he directly took my application form and copied it. He has always been so calm and rational. S University is not bad either. Its ranking is only second to those 2 universities, and its medical major is top-notch in the country. I turned my head and secretly looked at him. But I happened to meet his dark eyes, serious, focused, and also filled with resentment. I felt even more guilty. Qingzhe probably hates me a lot, right? Because of me, he gave up a better future. 9. The second question. It was the turn of a cute girl on the left side of the club president. Her cheeks were flushed, and she quickly glanced at the tall boy sitting opposite her. I have someone I like. Oh, everyone looked at the two of them with ambiguous eyes. The boy was so intrigued that his face was almost blushing. I stared at them, lost in thought. So, is a crush this obvious? In fact, my roommate Xiaofu once asked me if I liked Qingzhe since I followed him around every day. Do I like Qingzhe? When I was a child, the people I liked the most were my parents. Later, they died in a plane crash. After that, the person I liked the most was my grandmother, but she also left me soon. Since then, I no longer dared to like anyone, so I smiled and replied to her. I just regard Chingze as my brother, he's the only one who plays with me. After coming back to my senses, I silently put down one finger. I don't have someone I like, and I don't dare to have someone I like anymore. Chingze's hand was leaning towards my side, and his 5 slender and fair fingers were just hanging in the air openly. For some reason, my heart suddenly twitched. It turns out that Chingze already has someone he likes. I heard that Chingze has been getting very close to the beauty of the department recently. Last time, I even saw them coming out of the laboratory together, chatting and laughing. I sniffed my sour nose. Chingze can't stay by my side forever and be my brother alone. I will definitely have a sister-in-law in the future. Before the feeling of sadness faded away, my hand had already clenched into a fist, and all 5 fingers were down. You lost. Come on, have a drink. The club president wickedly poured me half a glass of wine. Just as I was about to reach out to take it, Chingze intercepted it. His eyebrows and eyes were cold. I'll drink for her. No need, I lost, so I'll drink it myself. You're a girl. How will you get back to the dormitory if you get drunk? I said distantly. I sent a message to Bai Yang. He'll drive to pick me up later. For some reason, Chingze's face darkened even more. He looked at me as if he wanted to cut me into pieces. Then, without saying a word, he drank the wine in the glass in one gulp. Just after showing off his coolness, the next second, he fell straight onto me. What on earth is Chingze pretending for? He can't hold his liquor at all. Just one glass and he's out. 10. Chingze, when he's drunk, is even harder to control than a pig during the spring festival. Less than 2 minutes after falling down, he was clamoring to go back to school. Whoever tried to support him would get slapped twice. And he would just keep falling onto me. When Bai Yang came, he even received a series of fierce slaps. With great difficulty, we dragged Chingze into the car. I looked at Bai Yang's Audi A7 in shock. This guy calls me miss all day long. It turns out that he's the real young master. Bai Yang looked at him, then at me. He said in an embarrassed tone, "Miss, why don't you sit in the passenger seat? Just leave him in the back seat. I'm afraid he'll go crazy from the alcohol and bite someone." Chingze hugged me even tighter. There was no other way, so I had to sit in the back seat with him. I don't want to ride in his car. He leaned on my shoulder and complained, "Say that again, and I'll throw you out." I threatened him. Chingze shut up and smacked his lips twice. The corners of my mouth curled into a sneaky smile. Chingze is usually cold and serious, but once he drinks alcohol, his temperament changes completely. The first time I saw Chingze drunk was in our senior year of high school. Chingze, who had always been serious and solemn, stood by the rooftop singing out of tune "Love You," and we couldn't even pull him back. A bump jolted my thoughts back. Bai Yang glanced at him with a look of disgust through the rearview mirror. He probably was still holding a grudge for the slaps just now. He said resentfully, "Miss, let me tell you, a man who can hit people is not someone you should be with. We definitely can't be stuck on this crooked tree. If you want to find a boyfriend, I'll introduce someone to you. I know all kinds of 188 centimeters cute boys and mixed-race handsome guys." My eyes lit up. Really, suddenly, a sharp pain came from my shoulder. Bai Yang was right. How can this guy really bite people when he's drunk? After biting me, he even looked aggrieved on his own. I'm also 188 centimeters tall. After saying that, he completely fell into a deep sleep. 11. When I woke up the next day, I saw a message from Chingze. "When are you buying the plane ticket to come back?" I laughed out of anger. This guy doesn't even remember that he bit someone after his hangover, and I hold grudges. "You can go back by yourself." I made an appointment with Bai Yang to go on a trip. The typing status on the other side kept flashing. It took a long time for him to reply with a message. "Are you serious? It's fake." That guy is so poor now that all he has left is an Audi A7. He even mooches off me for meals. Under my intense questioning, Bai Yang finally told me the truth. He had a conflict with his family. Now, not only has his credit card been blocked, but he's also making a living by washing dishes in the school cafeteria. What a story of a down-and-out young master wandering around. Feeling sorry for him, I suggested taking him to a restaurant. He wolfed down the food as if he hadn't eaten for 3 days, and mumbled with his mouth full, "Miss, remember to reimburse me for the gas money from last night." Just as he finished speaking, a beautiful couple walked over side by side, Chingze and the beauty of the department. Bai Yang and I stiffened at the same time. Both of them are outstanding people, whether it's their appearance or their academic performance. They are at the top level. They are really a perfect match. They sat at the table next to us. Bai Yang's eyes wandered for a while before he dared to secretly glance at the beauty of the department for a moment. I understood immediately. For some reason, I suddenly felt a sense of empathy as if we were both people who had fallen on hard times. So I picked up a big drumstick and put it in his bowl. Two fierce gazes landed on me at the same time. Something's not right. Why is the plot going wrong? It's understandable that Qingzhe is glaring at me. But why is the beauty of the department glaring at me too? Pretty sister, I didn't provoke you. Bai Yang was still carefree and didn't notice the strange atmosphere. Miss, is it true that you said you would take me on a trip? Qingzhe finally couldn't stand it anymore and stood up, slapping the table. His beautiful eyebrows were almost knitted together, and his eyes seemed to want to bore a hole in me. MOU. You're not going home just for a guy who lives off women, right? The beauty of the department cast an unhappy glance between the two of us, and then looked at Bai Yang with an unfriendly expression. Bai Yang, I didn't expect that after not seeing you for so long, you've already resorted to living off women. You really disappoint me. I waved my hand, trying to explain. We just want to go out and have some fun and get to know each other better. Get to know each other better. Qingzhe raised his eyebrows, filled with anger. Bai Yang also put down his chopsticks. No, she insisted on spending money on me. And of course, I'm happy to accept it. Qingzhe, she insisted on spending money on you. The beauty of the department. You're happy to accept it. Great. The more I explain, the worse it gets. It really seems like I'm a young lady and he's a guy who lives off women. Qingzhe's Adam's apple rolled, the corners of his eyes turned red, and his eyes stared fixedly at Bai Yang. His well-defined fingers clenched into a fist, and the veins on his hands bulged. I know Qingzhe, he's always calm and self-controlled, and he's indifferent in dealing with things. This is a sign that he's angry. I quickly pulled Bai Yang and slipped away. We have something else to do. We're leaving now. 12. Halfway through our escape, Bai Yang finally dared to ask me timidly, MOU, has your childhood sweetheart ever killed someone? Why do I feel like his eyes just now were trying to torture me to death? I thought seriously for 2 seconds and then nodded slowly, hesitantly. Qingzhe hasn't killed anyone, but he did almost cripple a lecherous man's private parts for my sake. In the first year of junior high school, there was a flasher on my way home from school. He was probably a pedophile and had molested primary school students before. I was so scared that I burst into tears. At that time, Qingzhe was just like he was just now, his eyes red with anger, his fists clenched. He almost beat that guy to a pulp before sending him to the police station, and he himself was seriously injured and stayed in the hospital for half a month. Bai Yang was even more terrified, his face wrinkled. Miss, does your childhood sweetheart like you? Qingzhe likes me. How is that possible? Since he was a child, he has hated me the most and been annoyed by me the most. He protected me just because he regarded me as a troublesome sister. That resentful face appeared in front of my eyes again. MOU, I will never let you go for the rest of my life. I shook my head, trying to shake off this shadow from my mind. He sees me as bad luck and a burden, but I'm also a responsibility that he can't avoid. He just regards me as his sister. Then why do I feel like he has a strong hostility towards me? I looked at the yellow hair on Bai Yang's head and touched my chin thoughtfully. According to my experience on the internet, no brother will have a good impression of a guy with yellow hair. You're the one with yellow hair. This is a genuine 24K pure blonde hair color. He grabbed my shoulders and shook me vigorously. I felt dizzy from this shaking. How dare you? I'm the young lady. The proletariat has to resist once in a while, right? My phone vibrated. At that time, everyone was still using QQ, and Qingzhe was my special concern. He sent me a message. MOU, do you like him? I recalled the scene of Qingzhe and the beauty of the department standing together just now. He's naturally cold and has never liked the approach of the opposite sex since he was a child. During his adolescence, he could be so abstinent that he regarded pornographic videos as garbage and drugs. Now that he can go in and out with the beauty of the department, he probably has developed feelings for her. He should be standing beside a better person. My chest felt stuffy, and I typed back to him, Qingzhe, this has nothing to do with you. Who I make friends with and who I like have nothing to do with you. I've grown up. Don't worry about me anymore. It wasn't until I heard Bai Yang apologize in a panic that I realized there were wet things running down my cheeks. Miss, why are you crying again? I was wrong. I won't shake you anymore. I wiped away my tears. I'm not crying. It's just the wind. When we reached the corner, out of the corner of my eye, Qingzhe was still standing in the restaurant. His gaze passed through the transparent floor-to-ceiling glass and landed on me. His expression obscure. 13. Bai Yang and I didn't go on the trip, because Qingzhe told me that Uncle Qing and Aunt Qing would come back from abroad in advance before the spring festival and wanted to have a reunion dinner together. I believed it. Then I was deceived. I looked at the empty villa. Only Qingzai was sitting on the sofa, his legs crossed, his hands clasped and placed on his knees. In a full state of scrutiny, I picked up my suitcase and turned around, wanting to leave. Suppressing his anger, he said in a low voice, "Mou, let's talk." I sat back down as if resigned to my fate and stared at the floor, lost in a daze. "Why on earth have you become like this?" I played dumb. "Like what?" Qingzai's eyes narrowed dangerously. "You used to just follow me around, didn't you? What's going on? Do you have new friends and have forgotten about me?" "Me? I've grown up, Qingzai." Qingzai lowered his voice, and his tone became dangerous. "It's this, I've grown up again. I'd rather you didn't grow up and were always as clingy and obedient as when you were a child." I vaguely felt that the atmosphere was a bit off. I always felt that Qingzai had been possessed by someone. The previous him was gentle and cold, and he would never be like a vaguely angry beast now, wanting to swallow people up. I stood up abruptly. "My friend has something to ask me. I'm going out for a while." He suddenly grabbed my wrist. "You want to go find Baiyang again? Are you together?" He was gripping me so tightly that it hurt. I also felt a bit of dissatisfaction. "So what if we are? What right do you have to control me?" Qingzai completely exploded. He pulled me closer. "What right do I have to control you? Mou, I brought you up. I helped you clean up the mess every time you caused trouble when you were a child. The person who has always been by your side is me. Now you're asking me what right I have to control you." He's right. He brought me up. Uncle Qing is the president of a pharmaceutical company, and Aunt Qing is also a tycoon in the medical field. They are both very busy. Over the years, Qingzai has been both a father and a mother to me. I felt a pang of guilt in my heart. However, I'm a harbinger of bad luck. If I get close to Qingzai, I will only bring him bad luck. He should have a bright future. If I really want what's best for him, I should stay far away from him. At least I should protect his hand. I lowered my head. "Qingzai, just think of me as heartless. Please don't worry about me anymore. I don't need you to take care of me." My phone vibrated. It was a message from Baiyang. Qingzai saw it too. For the first time, he snatched my phone, then he locked me up. 14. When I heard the door being locked, I was still too shocked to come to my senses. "Is he crazy? Qingzai, let me out. Are you insane?" But no matter how much I banged on the door, all I could hear was a faint, "Sorry," and the sound of footsteps getting farther and farther away. Something's not right. Qingzai is not acting right. I sat back on my bed, trying to calm down and figure out his abnormal behavior. Even if he objects to me being with Baiyang, he wouldn't go this far, or could it be? Absolutely impossible. The moment that thought came up, I firmly rejected it. Finally, it was the aunt who came to clean at the fixed time who opened the door for me. I ran downstairs and was just about to confront Qingzai when I only saw the messy wine bottles in the living room. How much did he drink? Most of my anger dissipated, leaving only a bit of worry. I knocked on Qingzai's bedroom door, planning to get my phone back, but after knocking several times, there was no response from inside. I pressed my ear against the door, but I didn't hear any sound either. Normally, Qingzai is quite rowdy when he's drunk, and I have a deep impression of that. Could he have alcohol poisoning? The shadow of my previous life once again enveloped me, and my heart seemed to be about to jump out. Could it be that I still hurt him? I twisted the doorknob like a madman. As soon as I opened the door, an extremely faint and sticky moan completely cut off my rational nerves. Qingzai was sitting on the floor, looking at the end of the bed. In front of him was a huge projection screen. When I was a child, I often came to his room to watch movies with it, but now, there was only a photo of me hanging on that screen. The room was not lit. In the dimness, only a faint white light fell on the man's confused face. The corners of Qingzai's eyes were crimson. His eyes were filled with a watery light. His lips were slightly parted, and he was still moaning intermittently. Looking further down, my legs went weak, my heart stopped for a moment, and I unconsciously took a step back, bumping into the door behind me. Qingzai looked over, as if blaming me for disturbing his mood, and his eyebrows furrowed slightly. Sorry for the interruption. Why you can continue. I'll leave now." Just as I turned around in a panic, I heard a sticky MOU coming from behind, then came a heavy gasp. My mind went completely blank. 15. The next morning, Qingzai knocked on my door and asked me to have breakfast. He looked natural, as if he had forgotten everything that happened after he got drunk. On the contrary, I was so unnatural at the dining table that he frowned and asked me, "What's wrong with you today? You've choked 3 times while eating." After saying that, he thoughtfully handed me a glass of milk. I coughed twice and quickly took a sip. Qingzai's eyes looking at me became darker and darker. Then he reached out his hand, his index finger gently lifting my chin, and his thumb slowly rubbing across the corner of my lips. His eyes landed on my lips, full of aggression. I widened my eyes and was just about to back away when he retracted his hand in time and then naturally started eating his breakfast. I had been so curious about what happened last night that I couldn't sleep all night. Come on, just ask. But the words turned around in my mouth several times, and I still couldn't ask. As soon as I thought of the scene from last night, my face began to feel hot. If you want to ask something, just ask, he said. Do you still remember? It's nothing. I want to go out for a while. Please give me back my phone first. I felt that if I stayed at home any longer, I would really explode from holding it in. No matter what explanation Qingzhe gave for his actions last night, I couldn't accept it for the time being, so I chose not to ask. I remember. He took a sip of soybean milk. I remember everything I did last night. Anyway, it's not the first time. You don't have to be so nervous. My behavior when I'm drunk may not be good, but I have a good memory. He continued. I remember the time I kissed you when I was drunk in our senior year of high school. And the time I held you in the car during the last club dinner. My mind went blank. I opened my mouth. I had so many things to ask, but it seemed like I couldn't ask anything. Subconsciously, I said, Qingzhe, do you, like me? He lowered his eyes, and his earlobes turned red unnaturally. He nodded slightly, almost imperceptibly, as if he was shy. I froze completely. 16, I made an excuse to go to the supermarket to buy some New Year's goods, wanting to calm down. Lu Dehua's Wish You Prosperity was playing in the supermarket, and the atmosphere of the Chinese New Year was very strong. Qingzhe followed me closely, and I couldn't shake him off. What's more, his temperament had changed completely, and his tone when speaking to me was so gentle that it seemed to be dripping with tenderness. I pleaded, brother, can you be normal? Qingzhe was a bit angry. Don't call me brother. I was taken aback. Qingzhe had never liked me calling him brother since we were young. I originally thought he was annoyed with me, but now. I got my phone back and started frantically sending messages to Bai Yang. Qingzhe likes me. Do you think he's crazy? Bai Yang, even a dog on the street can see it, but you can't. Qingzhe seemed to be picking and choosing in front of the shelves, but in fact, his eyes would glance at my phone screen from time to time. He chuckled, even that fool can see it, but you can't. I was dissatisfied. Don't call him a fool. Qingzhe raised his eyebrows and laughed angrily. He's been secretly in love with Qingshui for so long but didn't dare to confess. It made her so angry that she thought he was going to play with her feelings and abandon her. The title of fool wasn't given by me. Qingshui was the beauty of the department, so they were an alliance of lovelorn people at that time. Qingzhe pushed the shopping cart and continued walking forward, leaving me standing there in a daze. There was the sound of footsteps approaching from behind. A surprised voice brought my senses back. "Mou, it's really you." I looked at the person in front of me for a long time before I had some impression. Qinan smiled. "It's me. You still remember me. Well, I also gave you a love letter in high school. The handwriting was ugly, so you might have some impression." He scratched his head awkwardly and stammered, do you have a boyfriend now? What love letter? Before I could ask, Qingzhe took my hand, his tone cold and hard. Was the lesson I gave you last time not enough? Qinan left with an embarrassed face after saying goodbye to me. After Qinan left, I asked him through gritted teeth, what love letter? Did you throw away all my love letters? I said that I was beautiful and did well in my studies in high school. Why didn't anyone confess to me? So the obstacle was here. Qingzhe's face looked a bit unnatural, and he said stiffly, just to prevent you from having a puppy love. These people were still giving you love letters in the senior year of high school. Isn't that harming you? Especially this guy. He would stuff them into your locker at 5 o'clock sharp every morning, which made me unable to sleep well. So, for a while in the senior year of high school, Qingzhe went to school at 5 o'clock for a whole month. I thought he was annoyed with me and didn't want to go to school with me. It turned out that he was throwing away my love letters. Qingzhe, don't you think you're meddling too much in my business? His face changed, and he held my hand even tighter, as if afraid that I would leave out of anger. I'm not meddling in your business. I'm just eliminating those who oppose me. His face turned red again. It's enough to have me by your side. I will protect you well. As he spoke, the corners of his eyes also turned a little red. He looked at me stubbornly and said, since we were young, haven't I protected you well? It's enough to have me. Why do you still look at others? Oh no, why has the unreachable flower on the high mountain turned into a yandere? Thinking carefully, Qingzhe has really been very good to me. The harshest words he ever said to me were just that sentence, you will only bring me bad luck, when we were young and ignorant during our adolescence. But it was that sentence that made me want to stay away from him. My heart was in a mess. I shook off his hand and was still a bit dazed until we checked out and left. Qingzhe just quietly followed behind me, his eyebrows and eyes melancholy and dim, but his gaze never moved for a moment. Until his exclamation, "MOU, be careful." Then came the harsh screeching sound of the tires rubbing against the ground as the wheels made an emergency stop. I was pushed away. 17. Chingze was sent to the operating room. I sat on the chair outside, my body shaking uncontrollably, because I'm a harbinger of bad luck. That's why my parents, whose careers were booming and who loved each other deeply, were killed because of me, because I'm a harbinger of bad luck. That's why my grandmother, who loved me, suddenly died of a heart attack at home. Because I'm a harbinger of bad luck. That's why the people around me will all get hurt, those who love me and those I love will all be implicated by me. Tears streamed down my face in big drops, and I sobbed uncontrollably. Fear almost enveloped my entire body. I liked Chingze, I just dare not admit it. During the 2-hour operation, every minute and every second, I was in an extreme hell. I was in a daze, thinking, why wasn't it me who was hit? Why wasn't it me who died back then? It wasn't until the operation was successful and Chingze, who was still in a coma after being given anesthesia, was transferred to a general ward that I was pulled back from hell, but I didn't dare to see him. After paying the medical expenses, I sat on a stone pier at the entrance of the hospital in a daze, until Chingze found me in a wheelchair. He sighed and wiped the undried tears on my face with his thumb. "Why are you crying like a little cat?" I choked back a sob and apologized. "I'm sorry." He looked at me with pity. "I'm not blaming you. But I'm the one who hurt you. I'm a harbinger of bad luck. I've only brought you trouble since we were young. My family members were all killed because of me. Chingze, I don't want to kill you too." He frowned. "Is this why you've been distancing yourself from me?" I raised my wrinkled face from crying and nodded. He laughed angrily and flicked my forehead. "MOU. You've at least received Marxist education. Can you have some materialist thinking? How can someone be a harbinger of bad luck by nature? But that's what they all say." Chingze was both angry and felt sorry for me. "Don't listen to their nonsense. Everyone has their own destined fate. The death and misfortune of anyone have nothing to do with you. Why do you have to take the blame on yourself? But you also said that I would only bring you bad luck. And I have indeed brought you a lot of bad things. All the injuries you've suffered since we were young were because of me." A look of guilt appeared on Chingze's face. "Sorry, those were just angry words at that time. I'm really sorry. But MOU, I didn't get hurt because of you. It's because I love you. I love you, so I want to protect you. All the consequences brought about by love should not be borne by the one being loved. This is my own choice, and I'm willing to pay the price for this choice." I was still crying sadly, but Chingze. "I always feel that my life is like a curse, and I can't get out of it. MOU. He gently pulled me into his arms, his tone full of pity. "It's not that you can't get out of the curse, it's that you can't get over the death of your loved ones." Finally, I burst into tears. He coaxed me softly. "I've liked you since we were young. Protecting you isn't a responsibility, it's because I like you, because I love you. So please don't push me away anymore, okay, since we were young. It's not that you can't live without me, but that I can't live without you." After saying that, he hugged me even tighter, feeling insecure. "Even if you push me away, it doesn't matter. In this life, I will never let you go." I was suddenly stunned. Chingze also said this sentence in my previous life. However, it once became my nightmare, and I didn't want to recall it. But was it really as I thought before, that he said it out of resentment? I originally thought that my death in the previous life would be a relief and something to be glad about for Chingze. For some reason, my heart felt as if it had been hollowed out, bringing boundless empty fear. I said blankly, "Chingze, if one day I die." He almost embedded me into his body. "There's no if. In this life, I will protect you, and you will have a safe and smooth life." I asked him eagerly, "If I really die, what will you do? What should you do?" He smiled bitterly. "I don't know. MOU. I can't live without you. If what you said is true, that there are strange forces and supernatural things in the world and that people have their own fates, then let me bear all the misfortunes in your life." Suddenly, it went pitch black in front of my eyes, and I fainted. 18. When I woke up again, I was in the hospital bed. Only Chingze was by my side, numbly guarding me, his empty eyes staring at my hand in a daze. I didn't know how long he hadn't slept. His white eyes were filled with bloodshot eyes, and there was a stubble of beard on his chin. He looked in a daze, just like I was when I was waiting outside the operating room. I moved my fingers, wanting to touch his face. He suddenly raised his head, and in his eyes that met mine, there was great surprise and hope for life. As if he was the one who had survived a disaster. "Xiaoyu, I'm sorry." Tears welled up in his eyes. I almost forgot that I had been in a car accident to save him. I wanted to repay his kindness. I smiled. "Chingze, you once told me that all the consequences brought about by love should not be borne by the one being loved. I love you too." There were footsteps at the door of the ward, and two familiar figures walked in holding hands. It was Bai Yang and Qing Shui. "Oh my, miss, you're showing affection again." The sunlight shone in through the window. "Here. There is everything I love." 19. After the car accident, did I travel through time? Until I told him about the guilt in my heart, Qing Zhe expressed, who said my childhood dream was to study medicine. He helplessly supported his forehead. "Since I was a child, whenever I was sick, it was my mom who gave me injections. I've always hated this profession deeply." I was shocked. "Then why did you, Qing Zhe? Wasn't it you who said since you were a child that Hua Tuo was your idol?" "I just copied your college entrance examination application." Realizing that there was a misunderstanding, I smiled awkwardly. "Don't worry, I'll help my dad manage the company in the future. Since I can't do surgery anymore, I still have the family business to inherit, but I'll remember the thing about you delaying my future. MOU, in this life, you have to be with me." This guy can finally speak like a normal person. Story 2, the young master of the Xia family in Wangjing. A paragon of elegance and handsomeness, had nothing to do with me. However, one day, he suddenly grabbed my sleeve, his eyes red-rimmed. "It's not too late, we haven't divorced yet. In this life, let's start anew." I was gnawing on a marinated pig's trotter and was taken aback. But I'm not planning to marry you either." 1. Xiaoyu was a flawless jade, a man coveted by many. He was the ideal husband that countless young ladies yearned for, including my elder sister by birth, Chen Jingxian. She said that young Master Xia would surely rise to a high position in the court in the future, and she was determined to strive for him, but Xiaoyu had a cold and aloof demeanor, sparing no kind words for anyone. One day, my elder sister accidentally fell into the water. When she woke up, she suddenly slapped me and said, "You infatuated fool, don't like Xiaoyu, and don't marry him." I stared at her in bewilderment. "You can scold yourself if you want, but why hit me? Besides, it's not like I can marry Xiaoyu just because I want to." The Xia family was an aristocratic family that had endured for centuries, a family of great wealth and influence. Even a princess might not be able to marry into it. Before I could regain my senses, my step-mother had dragged my elder sister out and whipped her. "How dare you hit your sister? I think you've lost your mind. Your sister hasn't even been betrothed yet." My elder sister suddenly burst into laughter. Good, good. "This is wonderful." She laughed until tears streamed down her face. She got up, her clothes still wet, and hugged me. "It's truly the heaven's blessing that my Azu hasn't been betrothed yet. In this life, I won't let you marry that scoundrel again." 2. My elder sister pulled me and our step-mother into the room, dismissed the servants, and after taking a deep breath, she began to tell her story. She said she was reborn in her previous life. "I tripped during a banquet and fell directly into Xiaoyu's arms. One look at Xiaoyu, and you could see his grace and charm, his eyebrows and eyes as beautiful as a painting. He instinctively caught me, and we spun around on the spot. Then we both landed on the ground, with me on top of him." Xiaoyu didn't have a heartbeat, heart flutter, referring to a feeling of being attracted. Neither did I, but Xiaoyu's mother did. When she saw me knock Xiaoyu to the ground, she thought I was sturdy. I was plump, with a round face and big hips, which made me seem fertile. The Xia family had a single-line inheritance, and concubines were not allowed. The family had a sparse population, so she overruled all objections and proposed marriage to our family. 7 years after we got married, Xiaoyu gave me a divorce letter. He said he didn't have romantic feelings for me. Hearing this, I nodded. "Well, that's about what I expected." "I and Xiaoyu really didn't seem like a couple who could live together harmoniously." My step-mother suddenly asked, "Did Azu have children?" My elder sister was silent for a moment and then said, "Yes, 3 children, and they all stayed in the Xia family." Shocked, the marinated pig's trotter in my hand dropped onto my elder sister's skirt. The new skirt immediately became greasy and fragrant. Instead of blaming me, my elder sister gently held my not so small head. 3 children. Let's not talk about them. In the end, under the strict gazes of my step-mother and elder sister, I knelt down and swore that in this life, I would rather marry a pig than marry Xiaoyu, and I would rather go through menopause than give birth to any more children. 3. In the following months, my elder sister took me everywhere with her, avoiding all places where Xiaoyu might appear, but I thought she was overthinking. There was a huge gap between me and Xiaoyu. The young master of the Xia family was a close aide to the emperor, a favored son of heaven, referring to a very outstanding person, and I was a half-legitimate daughter of the Chen family, plain-looking, lazy, and fond of good food. In the past, when we met at banquets, he was always in the spotlight and never looked at me in the corner. Besides, it had been 7 years, and Xiaoyu had said he didn't like me, even if we ran into each other. So what? My elder sister said meaningfully. You're young and don't understand. Although he doesn't like you, it doesn't stop him from sleeping with you for 7 years. When she said this, she snorted, showing more and more disgust towards Xiaoyu. If he was also reborn, there's a good chance he would harm you again. The matter of being reborn wasn't like growing a pound of meat. It couldn't happen whenever one wanted, and not everyone had this chance. At that time, I scoffed at this idea. On the way, we met some noble ladies who we didn't get along with before. My elder sister, contrary to her usual self, greeted them with a smile. After those noble ladies left, my elder sister sighed. A lifetime is like a big dream, they're all poor souls. But when she heard that a cousin of the Xia family had sent his daughter here, her face darkened. That family was from Jiangnan, and their family fortune had declined. They had the nerve to send their unmarried daughter to the capital, hoping to secure a good marriage. The girl named Shen Qingji was delicate and frail, but her back was straight, as if she had an unyielding spirit, and she looked particularly pitiful. Xiaoyu's mother, being kind-hearted, kept her. My elder sister rolled her eyes but didn't say anything. I wasn't interested in asking either. The spring days were long and the spring scenery was delightful. The good days passed quickly. In a blink of an eye, it was the day my elder sister had been dreading, the Empress Dowager's birthday banquet. I tied a silk ribbon around my waist, and the other end was tightly held by my elder sister. She watched the water clock, calculating the time when I and Xiaoyu had bumped into each other in the previous life. After a while, she let out a long sigh of relief. It seemed that the time had passed. I was really suffocating. The silk ribbon that bound my waist and abdomen was untied. I went to the toilet, and at the corner, I saw a person. The gentleman was as beautiful as jade, so good-looking that it made people forget everything. The moment he saw me, his eyes showed a moment of daze. When I passed by him, he called out to me, "Chenanju, do you loathe me so much that you can't even look at me?" I turned back in confusion and met the eyes of that young master. He frowned and said, "Why are you pretending with me? You've deliberately avoided meeting me several times. Isn't it because you don't want to see me like in the previous life? Unfortunately, you didn't get what you wanted." Hearing these words, I suddenly realized. So, this was Xiaoyu. He looked like a celestial being. My elder sister was wrong. It wasn't him who slept with me for 7 years, but me who slept with him for 7 years. Seeing that I didn't say anything, Xiaoyu's voice turned colder. "Do you avoid me like a snake or a scorpion? You don't even want to say a word to me." His clenched hands had whitened knuckles, and his sharp eyes landed on me, filled with dissatisfaction. I really needed to pee, bro, and my elder sister didn't allow me to talk to him. I turned and ran, leaving Xiaoyu behind. He said, "Chenanju, we were husband and wife. Even if I've wronged you, can't we even be friends?" His figure was slender and upright. Standing there, he seemed a bit aggrieved. I really didn't understand what he was up to. Did he really want to be friends with me that much? After returning to the banquet, I truthfully reported the encounter with Xiaoyu. My elder sister crushed the wine cup, sneering. Her murderous gaze penetrated the curtain separating the men's and women's seating areas. On the other side of the curtain, not far away, was a figure in white. It was not difficult to tell that it was Xiaoyu. I buried my head in eating, not daring to breathe. After the banquet had gone on for a while, a woman arrived late. She was as delicate as a willow in the wind. With a graceful bow, she made the men's seating area quiet for a moment. She introduced herself. It was Shen Qingji, the cousin of the Xia family. She was very good at talking and soon won the praise of several noble ladies. Everyone praised her as a talented woman. Shen Qingji quickly said, "When it comes to learning, I can't compare to my cousin at all. I haven't seen my cousin in these days. I've heard in Jiangnan that my cousin is extremely learned and is a rare man in the world. I've always admired him. If I could just see him." Her voice was clear and unhurried. Behind the curtain, the figure in white paused in the action of raising the wine cup. Obviously, these words had reached Xiaoyu's ears. My elder sister snorted, putting on an act. Suddenly, an idea flashed in my mind. Could it be that she was the reason for my divorce from Xiaoyu? 5. This guess was further confirmed when Xiaoyu stopped me and my elder sister. He said, "Chenanju, did you make things difficult for Shen Qingji just now?" "I've already said it has nothing to do with her." Before I could speak, my elder sister had pulled me behind her. She was an excellent actress, and her performance was flawless. With a look of 3/10 confusion, 3/10 anger, 3/10 protectiveness, and 1/10 fear on her face, she said, "Young Master Xia, how can you directly call my sister by her given name? My sister hasn't gotten married yet. What if her reputation is ruined because of this?" Xiaoyu was taken aback. He had come in a hurry and only then realized that this was not the previous life. His eyes lingered on my face several times. but he could only see the expression of what on earth is this person doing. Please respect yourself, young Master Xia. With that, my elder sister was about to pull me away. Xiaoyu instinctively reached out to grab my sleeve. I jumped 3 feet away and fled to the other side of my elder sister, hiding behind her like a chick behind an old hen. Xiaoyu's face instantly stiffened. Do you dislike me touching you so much? I nodded firmly without hesitation. Xiaoyu said with a sullen face, then those 7 years, sharing the same bed with me, must have been really hard on you. As soon as he finished speaking, my elder sister slapped him across the face. My elder sister said furiously, absurd, young Master Xia, if you continue to slander my sister's reputation like this, I will definitely sue you at the yamen. Xiaoyu's head tilted to one side. Presumably, my elder sister had used all her strength without holding back. Before Xiaoyu could react, my elder sister and I had taken the opportunity to leave. After this incident, Xiaoyu seemed to believe that I wasn't reborn. He sent someone to our house to apologize and present a gift, saying that he had drunk too much that day and his mind was muddled. The gift was a jade bracelet worth 1,000 gold. As expected of the young master of the Xia family, Xiaoyu was really generous, but my elder sister said, bad luck, in the previous life, you gave birth to 3 sons for him, and he never gave you anything. He also said that as the mistress of the Xia family, there were special people to buy you any jewelry you wanted, so he didn't need to give you anything, but then he turned around and bought a lot of things for that cousin. Now he's just pretending. I had someone pawn the bracelet and exchange it for silver. This way, it wasn't bad luck anymore. A few days later, Xiaoyu invited me to meet him again, saying he wanted to apologize in person. Naturally, I didn't agree. My elder sister said, we've accepted young Master Xia's gift. There's no need for an in-person apology. Let this matter pass. But Xiaoyu didn't give up. Perhaps he wanted to confirm whether I was reborn or not. When he came to our house again, my elder sister refused to let him in the door. He said, Miss Chen, II, I sincerely want to apologize. Could you please give me the honor of seeing you? My elder sister shouted, young Master Xia, my sister already has someone she likes and has no intention of seeing you. If you continue to affect my sister's reputation for innocence. Xiaoyu's voice suddenly stopped, afraid that he wouldn't believe it. My elder sister continued, that person will come to propose marriage soon. Young Master Xia, please leave quickly. Outside the door, it was quiet for a long time. 6. Before leaving, Xiaoyu said, there's no need to make up such an excuse. If Miss Chen, II, doesn't want to see me, that's fine. I owe you. In the future, if you need any help, I will do my best. This of course didn't refer to those few offensive words a few days ago. It referred to the 7 years in the previous life. After that day, Xiaoyu didn't show up again. My elder sister still wasn't at ease. She dragged our step-mother and really started to look for a man for me. At the same time, in the tea house, people were talking about Xiaoyu and Shen Qingji. Shen Qingji was being molested by hooligans, and by chance, Xiaoyu passed by and saved the beauty. Shen Qingji was so moved that she shed tears and presented him with poems. Xiaoyu pitied the beauty, and in the following days, the two of them were seen together everywhere, attending banquets. As for me, I had met several men one after another, but I didn't take a fancy to any of them. My elder sister, not giving up, asked me what was wrong with them. I couldn't say exactly, but I said they weren't as important as a marinated pig's trotter. Perhaps it was just a matter of not having a connection. After thinking for a few days, my elder sister sent someone to Jiangnan to find a man surnamed Wei. She said that Wei Nanting would come to Wanjing to take the imperial examination and pass it several years later. After I got divorced and lived alone, he happened to live next door and took good care of me. She said that at that time, she had gone to a foreign land with her husband's family and didn't know the details of what happened between me and Wei Nanting. His family background is a bit humble, but if you really like him, I will help you. I replied lackadaisically. I thought he must be a poor scholar, but when the person was really brought in front of me, I was so shocked that my jaw dropped. The meeting place was in a pavilion in the middle of a lake. The person who came was 9 feet tall, wearing a short-sleeved shirt. His exposed arms were muscular, his back was broad, and his waist was narrow. He had a dark and honest smiling face, and when he smiled, a row of shiny white teeth showed. My elder sister, seeing my stunned look, added, the #1 martial arts scholar. After my elder sister said this, she gracefully left, leaving me stunned. The atmosphere suddenly became awkward. After a while, Wei Nanting pointed at the empty plate and spoke. He stammered but said something astonishing. Miss Chen, II, you can really eat. You're amazing. It was the first time someone had praised me like this. I smiled shyly. Thank you. I think so too. I wanted to grab another piece of pastry but found the plate empty. I withdrew my hand in embarrassment. I drank some tea, touched my bracelet, and then touched my hairpin. Suddenly, a pearl on my hairpin rolled down. I watched as it rolled into the lake. Before I could react, Wei Nanting jumped into the water without hesitation. The sound of him falling into the water was like a huge stone cannonball. The water splashed all over my face. The maidservant panicked and went to find someone. I leaned over the lake, shouting Wei Nanting. Not long after, a hand with distinct joints emerged from the water, firmly grasping the bank. With a whoosh, Wei Nanting emerged from the water like a black fish. He almost bumped into me, who was staring at the lake. His short, sleeved shirt had come loose, and water droplets flowed from his sharp jaw. His bulging pectoral muscles and well-defined abdominal muscles rose and fell slightly. Somehow, it made one blush. I quickly said, "It's okay if you can't find it. I have a lot of hairpins." Wei Nanting laughed, like a dog asking for praise. He opened his palm, and there was the small pearl. "Here you are." My mind went blank. Like a roasted suckling pig exploded in my head. I stared at him dumbly. He seemed more attractive than a marinated pig's trotter. Time seemed to stand still. The maidservants looked on from a distance, not disturbing us. It was at this moment that Xiaoyu appeared. 7 Xiaoyu, awakening from a dream in the rain on the plantain. Thunder rumbled. Xiaoyu suddenly woke up. He covered his chest, listening to the rain outside. He had dreamed of his previous life. He had proposed a divorce. Chen Anju didn't pester him. He heaved a sigh of relief. The day after the divorce, he went to pay his respects to his mother as usual, but his mother didn't see him. She was still angry. She had liked Chen Anju as a daughter-in-law, but since Xiaoyu had decided on the divorce, it must have been something he had thought about for a long time. With no room for change, Shen Qingji called him over. She was more tender and affectionate than ever, with a blushing face, delicate makeup, and charming eyes. Xiaoyu's heart stirred slightly. But due to his busy official duties, he didn't stay long. He and Shen Qingji were innocent. He had said this to Chen Anju when he proposed the divorce. They were confidants, friends, not in a sordid relationship. Chen Anju's elder sister, Chen Jingxian, had specially written a letter to scold him and Shen Qingji. When the servant delivered the letter to him, he opened it and took a look. The whole letter was full of swear words. And the handwriting was so forceful that it seemed as if it wasn't written by a person who had been ill for a long time. A month after the divorce, Chen Anju still hadn't shown up. Xiaoyu had already gotten used to such a life, except that once, when he was changing clothes, he subconsciously called out Chen Anju. Naturally, no one responded, and the maidservant didn't dare to either. In the second year after the divorce, Xiaoyu suddenly thought of Chen Anju again. This was the 5th time he had thought of her this month. Not much, but it was only the 2nd day of this month. The dishes on the table were very light. This was his dietary preference, different from Chen Anju's love for rich and greasy food, not only in diet, but in many other aspects. He and Chen Anju were different. They were completely not a match. He frowned and said, "Why is there no marinated pig's trotter? Chen Anju won't be able to get enough to eat like this." As soon as he said this, he was stunned himself. Just at this moment, the servant said that Shen Qingji was asking to see him. Xiaoyu subconsciously said, "What does she want?" The servant was a bit puzzled. In the past, whenever Miss Shen came to see Xiaoyu, she didn't need to give a reason, and Xiaoyu would let her in. The servant quickly said, "I'll go and ask Miss Shen." Xiaoyu waved his hand. "Don't ask, let her go. I'm too busy to see her." These days, Shen Qingji came every 3 days. Naturally, it was nothing important. Either she came to discuss poetry with him or to care about him to add clothes when it was cold. A beauty adding fragrance to the study, gentle and considerate. If he were to remarry, it should be a woman like her, not someone like Chen Anju. He had thought this way before he proposed the divorce, and of course, he still thought so now. When he went out, he heard someone gossiping. The young widow on East Street got married again. Xiaoyu stopped in his tracks. How could a widow get married again? He had never thought that Chen Anju might remarry. That night, he finally couldn't help but send someone to inquire about Chen Anju's recent situation. The servant who came back to report said that Chen Anju was no longer in Wangjing. The eldest daughter of the Chen family, who had been living in seclusion in Qingzhou to recuperate for many years, passed away 3 months ago. The second daughter of the Chen family went to mourn. Her neighbor said that the second daughter of the Chen family has no intention of coming back, and she didn't leave alone. Xiaoyu broke the writing brush. She wouldn't come back. That night, he sat until dawn. He couldn't figure it out. Why was Chen Anju so heartless? Heartless enough to not come and see him even once for so long. Heartless enough to abandon even her 3 sons. Just leave with someone else like this. No matter how much she hated him, She was the mother of the children and shouldn't be so cold-hearted. It was all a dream. Fortunately, it was just a dream of the previous life. He wouldn't delay Chenanju anymore, and Chenanju wouldn't hate him either. He didn't believe that Chenanju wasn't reborn, if she wasn't. Why would she avoid meeting him again and again? Of course, he had also avoided her unconsciously, with the emotional foundation of the previous life. Although they couldn't be husband and wife, they could be friends, or confidants, just like he and Shinqingji in the dream. Thinking of this, he couldn't help but curl his lips. The words confidant and Chenanju seemed to have nothing to do with each other. But he was a bit greedy for the way she quietly listened to him while stuffing food into her mouth. Presumably, being confidants and friends with her would be a good experience. But why did he always want to seek her out? The plantain leaves swayed, tick-tock, the rain fell until dawn. At dawn, he decided to look for Chenanju. 8. The blush on my face hadn't dissipated yet, when Xiaoyu saw Wei Nanting. Anger suddenly rose in his eyes. He said resentfully, in the previous life. When I proposed the divorce, you didn't hesitate at all. Did you already have someone else in your heart? Xiaoyu's eyes were red, as if he had suffered a great deal of emotional pain, but my elder sister had clearly told me that it was he who had fallen in love with someone else. Xiaoyu had married me not out of love. He thought I didn't know how to play the qin, chess, calligraphy, or painting, and couldn't compose poems with him. In the first 2 years, every time we had sex, he looked as if he was going to war, with a very ugly expression. Fortunately, later, he seemed to get used to it, or perhaps he became addicted to it. Xiaoyu and I had 3 sons. In contrast, Shinqingji was different from me. She seemed to be a wife tailor-made for him, meeting all his expectations. According to my elder sister, I was infatuated with Xiaoyu. The first time I saw Xiaoyu and Shinqingji drinking under the moon, I sensed something was wrong. Xiaoyu didn't explain anything to me. After the first time, there were the second, third, countless times, sometimes in the plum garden outside the city, sometimes in the poetry club. In short, all elegant places. They were confidants, smiling at each other. They might not have gone that far yet. So, when Xiaoyu proposed the divorce to me, he was very righteous. He said he hadn't done anything to betray me, and neither had Shinqingji. The two of them were innocent. It was just that he had discovered his true feelings and didn't love me. My 3 sons said that Aunt Shen was more like a lady of a big family than me, and I was really too vulgar. Just like that, I signed the divorce agreement. The day I left the Xie family, no one saw me off. When I heard this, I was very shocked. I couldn't imagine that I would fall in love with someone like Xiaoyu. Could it be that feelings are developed through sleeping together? Then this time, I'll never sleep with him again. At this moment, Xiaoyu still wanted to say something, but I grabbed Wei Nanting and ran. My elder sister said that I could only interact with Xiaoyu in her presence. Since she wasn't there, I naturally couldn't talk to Xiaoyu. Wei Nanting might look big and strong, but he was very obedient and didn't ask a single question. As we ran, he carried me on his shoulder. I pointed the way, and he ran in that direction. I took a moment to look back at Xiaoyu. He was standing there alone, like a discarded dog. Back at the Chen family, my elder sister asked Wei Nanting, "What do you think of my Azu?" Wei Nanting's dark face turned red, looking rustic yet handsome. "Miss Chen, the second, is the best." My elder sister nodded in satisfaction and then carefully questioned him for a long time. She confirmed that he was an orphan, with a clean background, no childhood betrothed wife, no childhood sweetheart, no cousin, and no first love. I was dumbfounded. After getting a satisfactory answer, my elder sister asked Wei Nanting, "In the future, I will use Azu's pocket money to support you. After you pass the imperial examination with honors, you must repay her 1,000 times or even 100 times, whether it's with silver or something else. You two can discuss it yourself." As she spoke, she ordered someone to bring a contract. Before I could react, Wei Nanting had signed and sealed it. After Wei Nanting left, I finally summoned the courage to say, "Sister, I didn't. Ever since he came, you've even forgotten to eat the steamed buns with preserved vegetable and pork filling. What else do I not understand?" I twisted my handkerchief and said, "I just think he's big and strong, with a crispy outer layer. He seems to be very delicious. Could this be the feeling of being in love?" Then in Wei Nanting's eyes, "Am I like a white, flour-steamed bun?" My elder sister left with an indescribable expression. 9. I thought that someone as aloof-looking as Xiaoyu would stop coming after I ignored him, but unexpectedly, he was a bit like a lingering ghost. After my elder sister was reborn, she was very busy, but she no longer focused on needlework, household management, or poetry, qin, and chess. She said that life was only a few decades, and learning these things was a waste of life. She hoarded food, helped children, and also funded a caravan to search for various rare medicinal herbs. My father had some objections at first, but after a long talk with my step-mother and elder sister, he no longer interfered. As for my elder sister's marriage, according to her, in the previous life, she had married the young master of the Wan family. That person, as she had expected, later became a high-ranking official of the third rank. The Wan family came to propose marriage just like in the previous life. I peeked at him from behind the screen. My former brother-in-law was handsome, tall, and learned, but for some reason, my elder sister didn't agree this time. My father politely declined, saying that he still wanted to keep my elder sister by his side for 2 more years. The young master of the Wan family was a bit surprised when he heard this. Although my elder sister had her eyes on Xiaoyu, she knew the truth of not putting all her eggs in one basket. Xiaoyu was like the moon in the sky, and it was very likely that she couldn't get him. This young master of the Wan family was my elder sister's first choice. Naturally, the young master of the Wan family didn't only have contact with my elder sister. When he left, there was some reluctance in his eyes. The next day, he invited my elder sister to meet him. My elder sister burned his letter and asked the servant to convey a message. Just say that I'm too busy to see him. Young Master Wang is a smart person and will naturally understand my meaning. I asked my elder sister if the young master of the Wang family had done something to betray her in the previous life. Unexpectedly, my elder sister shook her head. He didn't do anything to betray me. He gave me the status of a principal wife. He didn't take a concubine until 5 years after I failed to conceive, and he never doted on the concubine and mistreated the wife. It's just that, my elder sister curled the corners of her mouth into a smile. It's just that later I got sick, and he didn't hesitate to send me to Qingzhou to recuperate, and he didn't delay in taking a secondary wife. He really didn't do anything to betray me. He just took every step that was most beneficial to him. Since ancient times, men have seemed to be born knowing that at what time they should make what choices that are beneficial to themselves. I didn't have as many emotions as my elder sister. I only heard the key word. She got sick. My birth mother died in childbirth, and since I was born, I was registered under my step-mother's name. It was said that my birth mother was once my father's childhood sweetheart. Some people gossiped that my step-mother would surely ruin me, but if I could lie in bed for a lifetime, it was something many people couldn't even dream of. If I were more diligent and hard-working, I would just change from being Mrs. Zhang Chen to Mrs. Li Chen or Mrs. Xia Chen, bearing fruits for others and letting others pick them. Since I was young, my elder sister had protected me. I didn't have big ambitions and was already very content. I cried loudly, burying my face in my elder sister's sleeve. My elder sister said, "What are you crying for? It's not an incurable disease. Do you not know whether I married Wei Nanting because you died early?" My elder sister didn't expect me to be so smart and was immediately speechless. In the end, she compromised and said that this life she would definitely take good care of herself and not get sick again. I blew my nose on her sleeve and looked at her accusingly. She coaxed me for a long time and finally reluctantly took me to the largest restaurant in Wanjing. After a full meal, she took me to pick jewelry. I wore a peony-shaped hairpin and then, reluctantly, put on a smile again. Do I look good? As soon as I turned around, I saw Xiaoyu. Xiaoyu's eyes landed on my face. Today, he was wearing a plain white long gown, with a jade crown on his head, and his jet black hair was neatly combed. He looked more refined and handsome than the previous 2 times I saw him. After a moment of daze, surprise, and pride appeared in his eyes. "Chenanju, no matter how hard you try, I won't marry you this life." Before he could finish speaking, I bumped into him and said, "You're in the way." He staggered from being hit by me but didn't get angry. He looked at me with some helplessness, as if he thought I was throwing a tantrum because I had lost face. My elder sister pulled me to her side, sneered, and glanced at Xiaoyu coldly. "Young Master Xia, we have something to do. We'll take our leave first." My elder sister didn't want to pay attention to him and pulled me away, but looking at Xiaoyu, for some reason, a sudden burst of anger rose in my heart. Why could he be reborn with my elder sister? The more I thought about it, the angrier I became. Finally, in Xiaoyu's astonished eyes, I punched him in the face. Xiaoyu staggered and fell like a white butterfly. His hand landed on the broken teacup, and blood immediately appeared, but he seemed not to notice, just looking at me in disbelief. "Chenanju, how could you hit me?" What answered him was my next heavy punch. The emotions that had just been soothed by my elder sister exploded like a boiling boiler. Why, my elder sister died young. And what about him? Did he live to be 70 or 80 with the 3 children? I usually ate a lot and was also very active. I wasn't just fat for nothing. I straddled Xiaoyu and punched him with all my strength. Soon, Xiaoyu didn't have the energy to speak. The servants of the Xia family were blocked outside the crowd by my elder sister and the maidservants. After a long time, my elder sister came to pull me up. Okay, young master Xia didn't mean it either. I stood up and left. Xiaoyu called my name with difficulty. He had a black and blue face, his hair was messy, and he looked extremely miserable, but I had to say that he had a good-looking face, and at this moment, he had a unique charm. Unfortunately, I didn't like such a skinny and dry-looking person. Chenanju, do you hate me so much because you still love me? It's just hatred born from love. I turned around and kicked him. I don't know you well. Xiaoyu blinked when he heard this, looking at me with a smile, as if he had seen through my tough talk. My elder sister sized him up and sneered. She said, young master Xia, have you received the letter I sent from Qingzhou? Xiaoyu was stunned for a moment and then suddenly widened his eyes. He was so intelligent that he naturally understood. It was my elder sister who was reborn, not me. Only then did he confirm that I wasn't the Mrs. Xia Chen who had spent 7 years with him, not the Chen Anju who had given birth to 3 sons for him. Now we were just 2 strangers. I was only annoyed by his harassment. My elder sister and I walked a long way, and Xiaoyu was still sitting on the ground in a daze. 11. That night, I had a very strange dream. In the dream, I got married. The small sedan chair swayed all the way to the Xia family. The young master of the Xia family was as elegant as an orchid, with a bright future. All the women envied me. Even my elder sister said that I had married well. I wasn't very happy, just felt it was troublesome. But if I didn't marry, I would ruin the reputation of the Chen family, affect my elder sister's marriage, and also implicate my step-mother to be gossiped about. Forget it, then I'll marry. On the wedding night, the most handsome man in Wanjing, as rumored, stood in front of me. I hadn't looked at him carefully before. Now that I did, I could see that he was really good looking, but he was a bit too thin and too pale, like boiled chicken breast, dry and tasteless, definitely not very delicious. Xiaoyu's cold eyes glanced at me indifferently and said, this marriage wasn't my wish. In the future, I'll give you the honor of being Mrs. Xia. But don't expect anything else. Crazy. If it wasn't your wish, why didn't you make it clear to your mother? I rolled my eyes and fell asleep. Xiaoyu, who was standing by the window, was surprised for a moment but then climbed onto the bed and slept with me. However, as we slept, his hand touched my waist. You need to give birth to the Xia family's offspring as soon as possible. One moment he said he didn't like me, and the next he wanted to have a baby with me. My elder sister always said I wasn't very smart. I really wasn't, because I really couldn't understand Xiaoyu's way of thinking. Forget it, I had to have children anyway. I took the initiative and pressed Xiaoyu onto the bed. What happened later could only be described as uninteresting. His bones were poking me. He was indeed as tasteless as chicken breast. When I forced him to submit, Xiaoyu blushed, as if he wanted to say I was shameless, but on this bed, I wasn't the only one being shameless. He was angry and ignored me for a full 6 months. Fortunately, Mother Xia had good eyes. I was very fertile and got pregnant right away. Xiaoyu and I maintained a polite relationship. Although he was cold, he wouldn't make things difficult for me. I had a good life, but others didn't think so. They thought I must be very painful, because I had lost my husband's love right after getting married. The turning point in my relationship with Xiaoyu was when I happened to save him from being forced to drink alcohol in a restaurant, and he repaid me with his body. Just like that, I was pregnant with the second child. The difference was that this time he took extra good care of me, really like a father-to-be. He was also like many fathers, having a female confidant, Shen Qingji, and he would meet in front of my eyes to compose poems, drink wine, and have a good time. I didn't care. The first time I saw them, I even felt a bit embarrassed, as if I had interrupted their elegant time. I left in a hurry, but Xiaoyu seemed to have misunderstood and thought I was jealous of him. You are the mistress of the Xia family, you should be magnanimous, he said righteously. Qingji and I are innocent, you shouldn't be so disrespectful to her. He apologized to Shen Qingji on my behalf and sent her many valuable gifts. When Mother Xia found out, she called Xiaoyu over and scolded him. Turning around, Xiaoyu took this grudge out on me. He came into my room late at night and tossed me around. I was extremely puzzled, whether it was a reward or a punishment. It was always the same thing. Was this some kind of gold inlaid wolf tooth club? Time passed like this. Xiaoyu was clingy, annoying, and had a sensitive temper. He would turn cold at every turn. The 3 children were just like him. They knew their father was powerful and competed to imitate him and win his favor. Sometimes I wanted to say something, but I was always interrupted by Xiaoyu and Mother Xia. Forget it, anyway, they all had the surname Xia. Without me, There were plenty of people to teach them. I thought this kind of life would last until I died, but I didn't expect that as Shinqingji and Xiaoyu got closer and closer, everything changed. Xiaoyu finally seemed to have made up his mind to divorce me. The wife he didn't like from the beginning, that was really great. It was like I had been in prison for 30 years and was suddenly released. The day I left, I ate 30 marinated pig's trotters. The people at the next table were dumbfounded. At this time, a person came over and said with a smile, "Does the girl still remember me? That year, when I was on my way to the capital to take the imperial examination, I almost starved to death. You gave me a marinated pig's trotter. I slept until the sun was high in the sky. After waking up, I carefully recalled the plot in the dream. Xiaoyu was really annoying. Wei Nanting was really delicious. 12. Wei Nanting was very competitive. He passed the imperial examination as the top martial arts scholar 2 years earlier, the day he became the top martial arts scholar. He managed to avoid the chaotic situation of being chased by families trying to marry him off right after the results were announced and came to my house. My father had already made preparations. He glanced at me behind the screen and said, "This matter also depends on the will of my Anju." I shyly nodded vigorously at my father. My elder sister pulled me out from behind the screen. When Wei Nanting saw me, his face also turned red. One of us was dark-skinned and red-faced, and the other was fair-skinned and red-faced. We were quite a match. I saw Wei Nanting off. When we were about to part, I secretly pulled his hand. It was so hot, like a freshly cooked bear's paw. I couldn't help it and secretly touched his butt. It was so perky, perkier than a chicken's butt. Before I could put away the lewd smile on my face, I met someone's eyes. Xiaoyu stared at me with wide eyes. He seemed to have run over. His jade crown was crooked, his hair was disheveled, and he was panting. He glared angrily and demanded, "Chenanju, what are you doing?" Before I could speak, Wei Nanting spoke first. "It's not you she's touching, mind your own business." As he spoke, he put my hand, which I had retracted guiltily, back on his butt. How presumptuous. My face turned bright red, Xiaoyu's lips trembled, and he seemed on the verge of collapse. "Chenanju, have you really changed your heart? How could you treat me like this?" I didn't pay attention to Xiaoyu. After saying goodbye to Wei Nanting, I closed the door in front of Xiaoyu's face, shutting out his devastated face. That night, Xiaoyu actually climbed over the wall and came in, the dignified young master of the Xia family, a person who always valued his appearance the most, actually climbed over the wall. The person in the moonlight stared at me intently. The bright moon was high in the sky, and the night breeze was cool. Xiaoyu said, "I should have realized it earlier, Chenanju. You don't remember me, so you're so heartless as to not come to see me for so long. You don't remember me, so you're willing to use another man to anger me and willing to be so cruel to me." I listened, dumbfounded, and forgot to chew on the chicken feet. There was still a marinated pig's trotter hidden in my quilt. When I heard the footsteps earlier, I thought it was my elder sister coming to catch me for a midnight snack. Xiaoyu continued, "It's good this way. If you had the memories of the previous life, you would surely resent me. It's better to start over. Now, it's not too late. In this life, we can start anew. I can marry you again. This time, we won't divorce." I was stunned and said, but I'm not planning to marry you." Xiaoyu froze in place. I said sincerely, "I really don't like you." 13. Xiaoyu's eyes suddenly lost their luster. His thin lips were tightly pursed, and his face turned a bit pale. He took a few steps forward, grabbed my wrist, and shook his head. "I don't believe it. In the previous life, you loved me deeply. We treated each other with respect and had 3 children." I scratched my head and asked, "Then why did we get divorced in the end?" Xiaoyu's voice became hoarse, and regret flashed in his eyes. "I was too naive. I thought a wife should be erudite and talented so that we could have a harmonious relationship. But I didn't know that a woman's lack of talent is a virtue. And a woman who cooks for her husband and stays by his side is the one who really knows how to live a life. I didn't really stay by your side much. It was you who always came to find me." But I didn't have the nerve to say this. I was afraid he would cry on the spot. Xiaoyu frowned and asked, "Did you hear something about me from your elder sister?" I shook my head. I didn't want to talk to him anymore and directly shouted loudly, "Someone, catch the rogue." Xiaoyu's eyes widened in an instant. The servants rushed over when they heard the sound. How could the pampered young master of the Xia family outrun a group of servants? In the end, Xiaoyu was embarrassed, pressed to the ground. The Xia family sent many gifts to apologize. They all ended up in my elder sister's hands. She said she would keep them for me first, if it became my dowry. After I got married, Wei Nanting would also have a share. If he wasn't a good person, it would be a loss. I listened, confused, and habitually nodded obediently. My elder sister sighed and said, "With your temperament, You really should be paired with someone who has more thoughts, except for Xiaoyu, I said. Wei Nanting doesn't have many thoughts either. My elder sister smiled and didn't refute. I didn't see Xiaoyu again later. I heard that he was punished by Mother Xia to be confined at home and reflect. Unexpectedly, Shen Qingji suddenly came to look for me. She was still as delicate and tenacious as before. Her oval face was exactly 2 sizes smaller than mine. Miss Chen, the second, I came to find you just to say a few words to you. I agreed. My elder sister only said not to pay attention to Xiaoyu, but she didn't say not to pay attention to Shen Qingji. She was satisfied and took me to a tea house. When I was cracking melon seeds, she took a sip of tea. When I was eating mung bean cakes, she took a sip of tea. When I was eating grapes, she took a sip of tea. Sure enough, some thin people were thin for a reason. Miss Chen, the second, you're actually a smart person. You know that cousin is just interested in you for a while. If you agree to him, he'll soon get tired of you and then realize that you're not the one he really wants. What he wants is still a woman who can compose poems with him and share common interests. I looked at her in shock. She actually knew all this. She really was a talented woman. Perhaps my amazement was too obvious. And Shen Qingji's momentum weakened a lot. Ahem, I didn't come to find you for any other reason. I just want you to see this clearly and not fall head over heels for him, otherwise, it will be a loss if you get divorced a few years later. I thought for a while and said, then do you want to marry Xiaoyu? My straightforward words made Shen Qingji freeze for a moment. You're so straightforward. I just want to remind you, I have no other intentions. I chewed on the pastry and asked in confusion, and, a cousin has no right to meddle in a cousin-in-law's marriage, right? Or, are you the one the Xia family has secretly chosen? She quickly interrupted me. Don't talk nonsense. I'm innocent with cousin. I'm just here to remind you out of kindness. Ed. I racked my brains to recall the ending of Shen Qingji in the previous life in my dream, but in the end, I got nothing. I went to Qingzhou with Wei Nanting and settled down in the place where my elder sister had once lived. Many years later, I received a letter from the capital. The handwriting was Xiaoyu's, but the paper was yellowed, as if it had been written a long time ago. As for the content of the letter, it roughly said, several times during the night rain, he thought of me and wanted to come and see how I was doing, but he never had the time. There were water bandits in the south, and he had to go and suppress them first. If I was still there, I would surely bid him farewell with deep affection and prepare enough food for him. Of course, his words were a bit too affectionate. Wei Nanting was a bit jealous after reading it and made me work hard all night. Along with the letter came a message from Mother Xia. She said this was what Xiaoyu wanted to give me but never had the chance to send. I suddenly realized that Xiaoyu might have been dead at that time. I slapped my head and suddenly understood. So, only those who died early could be reborn. Then Shen Qingji should have married someone else. Shen Qingji left with a black face. After leaving the private room of the tea house, we met again at the entrance of the toilet. Her face turned red, and she looked a bit awkward. I burped loudly. 14. Ending. The day I got married to Wei Nanting, my elder sister gave me 18 handsome servants. Wei Nanting married into my family, so, life didn't change much after marriage. I just ate more. After all, I had more physical exertion. But unexpectedly, Wei Nanting didn't want me to have children. He said my birth mother died in childbirth when she had me, and he was worried. I patted my chest and told him that I was probably fertile. He gritted his teeth and asked me how I was so sure. I said I had 3 children in my dream, but quality wasn't guaranteed. Wei Nanting asked me who I had the children with. I immediately shut up, but he actually saw something. He might be a bit smarter than I thought. This guess was further confirmed in the following years. His official position got higher and higher, much more powerful than in the previous life. Some people said that since he was already a great general, why was he still a son-in-law who married into the wife's family? He should immediately change back to his original surname and re-establish his family. That night, Wei Nanting stood by the bedside of the person who was gossiping, holding a big knife. If you make my wife misunderstand me, you'll have to pay with your head. Then no one dared to say anything anymore. At that time, my elder sister had become a famous businesswoman. She traveled far and wide and lived the life she wanted. Her body, which had been damaged by childbirth in the previous life, was extremely healthy this life. As for Xiaoyu, he volunteered to go to Qingzhou. Before he left, he came to look for me. The rain was pleasant to hear. He stood under the eaves not far away and watched me for a long time. He said that in his previous life, he died 3 years after our divorce. He took on the task of suppressing the water bandits. Those water bandits were about to approach Qingzhou. He went without hesitation and then died by the river outside Qingzhou city. He didn't see me one last time. Actually, I already knew this. In fact, Mother Xia had come to look for me. Her son suddenly changed and always came to look for me. Naturally, she noticed something strange. She accepted the fact of rebirth and quickly found out what had happened to Xia Yu. She said that her son was arrogant and it was only natural for him to stumble in love, but she never expected him to fall so miserably. I didn't think it was miserable. There were many people worse off than him. He just couldn't accept that I left so freely. The clouds rolled and the clouds scattered. Wei Nanting and I spent the spring and autumn together. We never heard from Xia Yu again.